Hi everybody, this is Anne. I'm always on the lookout for new and clever ways of approaching decorative pottery designs. I've noticed a lot of people using stencils lately. Many of them are created using fancy cutting machines like Cricut and Silhouette. I don't have one of those machines, but I do have a lot of commercial stencils in my studio, so I thought I'd play around with them and discover some unusual ways to use them for interesting designs. First, I'll demonstrate the most evident, straightforward way that I use stencils on clay. On a rolled out slab, I place the stencil over the clay. I roll the stencil onto the fresh clay so the clay becomes raised inside the cutouts. I then apply underglaze over the raised areas. Sometimes I use a sponge or a brush to apply. This time, I'm just going to finger paint. When I remove the stencil, I'm left with the crisp design to hand build with. Now I'm going to call that my jumping off point. Now let's try this. For the stencils, I'll use this leaf pattern and this geometric pattern. I laid down the leaf pattern and rolled it into the clay. I then layered the geometric pattern over the organic leaf pattern and rolled that over the top. Instead of underglaze, I made up a batch of stiff slip by slaking down dregs from my reclaim bucket. I smeared it over the two stencils with a spatula so it went down into the holes. To smooth out the clay, I wet my fingers and smoothed it gently over the designs. I gently removed the two stencils for this neat design. Ooh, I was just thinking I could have reversed these two stencils for a whole separate design. And here's a vase that I hand-built with it. I bisque fired and glazed it with Amico Celadon Sky. The angles of the vase give you a nice wide surface, perfect for displaying the details of the design. So that idea works well when you can roll the stencil on a flat surface, but what do you do if the piece isn't flat? So here's one solution. When this piece was bone dry, I laid down the stencil over the area where I wanted it and held it tightly with my fingers. I then took my needle tool and sgraffitoed the interior edges of each little hole. I then used a small thin brush to apply shades of yellow and red to those holes. The sgraffitoed borders help to keep the underglaze contained inside of those tiny areas. Now all I had to do was paint the black body and antenna. You can see that I applied a slipped stencil design to the clay before I hand-built it to act as a background for the colorful butterflies. I bisque fired it and then applied a clear over the stenciled areas, and I put chamois to the sides and the collar. Okay, this next idea is going to blow your mind. First, I rolled out a sheet of wax paper to protect my work surface. I'm going to show you how to create a geometric textured stencil on the bottom of the section of this leaf stencil. For the geometric design, I'll use these honeycomb hexagons. I had this mold building liquid rubber that I purchased at the local craft store. I simply scooped out a little of the rubber with my finger and spread it out over top of all the holes until I had a thick layer over the top. The good thing about the rubber is that it's pretty stiff. It doesn't seem to run underneath the other stencil. Now when I take the top layer off, you can see all the hexagons. And when I lift the leaf stencil, you can see the raised hexagons surrounding the holes of the leaves. Now let the rubber dry for about an hour until it becomes transparent. Now this is cool. The wax paper has the positive raised area of the leaves on it, and I bet you could roll that out onto the clay and get an imprint. Another good thing about the rubber is that before it's dry, you can easily clean the hexagon stencil with water. Now here's a different stencil combination where the rubber's already dry. Now I'll show you how to use it. I started with a smooth slab and laid the stencil rubber side down. I rolled the stencil down into the wet clay. I used my finger to apply baby blue underglaze to the surface. I then applied a little of the intense yellow. You know, the blue and the yellow make green. I removed the stencil, and you can see the underglaze swirls appear like they're floating on the top, and the rubber-impressed geometric pattern appears recessed. Here's a cute little sushi plate that I created with that same pattern. That impressed pattern adds a level of depth that I think is so elegant. Here I just added clear glaze to it and fired it to cone 5. Finally, I thought I'd show you how to reverse the sequence to emphasize the negative space of the design. Now let's see if this works both on a wet slab and a bone-dry slab. First I applied underglaze to the entire wet slab. Then I did the same thing to the dry slab. I let the underglaze completely dry. I placed the stencil over the underglaze and held it in place with my fingers. I dampened the sponge and gently rubbed it over the design to remove the underglaze. I was careful to keep flipping the sponge to a clean edge to remove more underglaze. Another bonus is that as you wipe, you're removing the top layer of clay, giving the design a 3D quality. First on the wet slab, I removed the stencil to find this crisp negative image of the bird. Now I can still bend the clay for hand building. Let's see if it works on the bone-dry slab. I had to rub it a bit harder to remove the underglaze, but I finally got it off. There, that looks great. I hope these designs spark some ideas about how you can layer, underglaze, slip, or figure out even more ways to use your stencils. I'd like to thank the newest members of our Little Street Pottery Research Facility team. If you'd like to join the team and earn a title, click on the Super Thanks button or the link to buy me a coffee. If you liked our video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you next time in the studio.